Go live button. And
I think we are live.
And yes, we are live. Woohoo! Woo! Hello, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our first Learning Pieces for Developers live stream here from Pieces. I'm JimBobBennett. I am the head of developer advocacy at Pieces. Very excited to be here. I've got a really special guest with me today. Ellie has been jumping into the Pieces community quite a lot. I've been watching her stuff with excitement. She does amazing things. Got me my first Twitter space yesterday, which was cool. So Ellie, glad you're here. Do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ellie. So yeah, I've been talking about Pieces a lot lately since I think Rosie was the one that reached out to me first. I'm not sure. But then I started meeting a bunch of people that were talking about Pieces and they were like, oh, it's so cool. And the people that work there are so nice. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so yeah, and then I ended up becoming a social partner, and that's the Pieces portion of my intro. And besides that, I do technical writing. So yeah, I'm in this stream. Hopefully, I will show you a little bit about that and how Pieces can kind of help with doing that. So yeah, I'm really excited for this, and it's really cool. It's like the first episode, and then yesterday was the first space that you ever spoke in. That was kind of cool too.
Yeah, that was cool. It was very kind of you to let me know about that and invite me to join in and say hello. So if you don't follow Ellie on Twitter, you should. In fact, let me grab her Twitter handle. Sorry, X.
X. I say Twitter too. I think everybody says Twitter. X feels weird coming out of my mouth. Like it just doesn't feel right. But hey, there's a bunch of people in chat. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so there's just shared there. Ellie's X.
Yay.
That just sounds weird, doesn't it? I'm sharing.
Sounds like I'm talking about like my ex-boyfriend or something. It doesn't sound right. Oh, look, Sophia's here. Sophia is the one that convinced me to like kind of join up with you guys. She was talking so much about Pieces because she used to intern for Pieces as a DevRel and did some technical writing and everything. So Sophia is very cool.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know Sophia. Do you know her?
I've had a couple of brief conversations on Twitter with Sophia, but that's definitely what I've seen of her has been awesome. Lots of folks come in say hello. Chevy, hey, glad to see you here with us. Elder Youth, liking the tequila drinking cat that you got going on there. Nice.
Mason. Sophia wants a badge of honor, a Pieces badge of honor. I think we should give Sophia a badge of honor or something, some kind of thing to be like, this is Sophia's telling everybody about Pieces, to be honest.
We should. I mean, I got a nice swag gift from Pieces yesterday. So I literally joined Pieces 7 working days ago. So I got a nice swag set. Pieces t-shirt.
Very cool. I love that.
Pieces bottles, all that kind of stuff. So
I wish I could show you my swag too. I got it technically, but it's in Florida. I'm going back to Florida in a couple days. So when I get to actually touch my Pieces swag, then I will show you guys. But I'm excited for it. And
I have to say something about Pieces swag. I have to cut and say this. Okay. So very kind of them. The Pieces, they sent me the swag box, and it had this little card in it. Don't know how well that will come up on the screen, whether it's going to focus on there. Probably not. But the company who...
Maybe you could read it or something.
I will do. The company who puts together this swag is called Swagbox. And they work with a group called Helping Hands, which is dedicated to providing adults with disabilities opportunities for education, growth, and employment in a normalized setting. So essentially, as part of what they're doing is they employ adults with disabilities to put together swag boxes. So there's not enough companies who are actually supporting underprivileged folks, including folks with disabilities. So I thought that was absolutely fantastic. My wife actually is an elementary school teacher and works with kids with special education needs. And so just to see companies who are actively going out there and making sure there's opportunities for education and employment for people with disabilities, I think is fantastic. So that was kind of one of the best things about the swag box, is to know that the company that's been chosen to do this is one that really cares about the community. So that made
That's
me
so
very
awesome.
happy yesterday.
I love that. I didn't know that. So that is really cool. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think you could make a swag box better, but that definitely makes it way better. You know, the swag you're receiving is already really cool, and then you're like, oh, it's actually, you know, going to a good cause too. So that's awesome. I see Upa just came into the chat. Upa is one of my good friends. He's from Florida too. So we're gonna see each other at Render in a couple days.
Oh yeah, that's coming up, isn't it? I'm not going to that, unfortunately, but that is coming up. That's supposed to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's gonna be crazy. I've only been to one other tech conference. I've been at that conference, and that was awesome. Are you going to that conference? Because I know Rosie is, and I don't know.
I don't know yet. I haven't had those conversations with the team as to what conferences they want me to go to. There is a big part of me that would love to, because I hear so many good things about it from people. I have to see what
that would be so cool, because I'm going to that conference, so I'll be able to meet you know, whoever from Pieces is going to that. And yeah, Render though is I heard it's really big though, so I'm kind of scared, but I think it'll be really fun at the same time. Yeah, so I hope you can go to that though. That would be awesome to meet you in real life.
Yeah, okay. I mean, well, Rosie has just said, just ask Jim. So Rosie, can I go to that conference?
I think Rosie's gonna let you go.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Sophia just jumped in with a comment, and actually, Ellie and I were talking about this earlier. Yeah, have so many ships. Yes, this is a small part of my Star Wars Lego collection. I am a big Star Wars Lego fan. As you see, I've got all the lights. I've got buttons where I don't know how well this will come out, but start to see the lights kind of cycling around. So yeah, huge fan of Star Wars Lego. Ellie, you're more of a Harry Potter Lego fan, aren't you?
Right. I'm so jealous of your Star Wars Legos though, but yeah, I'm definitely a Harry Potter Lego person. You can't see them here. All you see is like a bunch of Pokemon, but they're not Lego Pokemon, unfortunately. But yeah, at my house, I have a bunch of Harry Potter Lego things. I'm in the process of building the big castle right now. So when it gets done, maybe I'll post about it and I'll be like, look at this, guys. Are you jealous?
Oh, yes, definitely. My 11-year-old loves Harry Potter Lego, but they don't have the big castle.
Yeah, I got the castle for last Christmas. So pretty lucky.
I am.
But I see Chrissy, her name is CBID too in there. She wrote for Pieces as well a couple of times. So Chrissy is super nice.
Yeah, she seems awesome. Been chatting to her on Twitter. She seems pretty cool. Folks who's watching, you probably gather we are very much interested in chatting with you. So I guess one question that I love to ask, I'm in Seattle, just outside of Seattle. Ellie, you mentioned Florida, but where are you right now?
Right now I'm in Halifax, Canada. So my boyfriend lives here, so I'm here sometimes, and then sometimes I'm in Florida, since I'm from Florida technically. So yeah. And I was actually watching the Pieces. They started a new podcast series. I think it was the first episode that just got released the last hour it was premiering. So I was listening to that and watching it. And I heard Rosie say that all of the Pieces people went to school in Miami, went to university in Miami. And I was like, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I went to university at FIU, so like really close to Miami, but too bad.
I think it's a different Miami. I think
it's not Miami. There's another Miami.
Someone was mentioning it's like a 50-minute drive to Miami from the office in Ohio. So there is a Miami. Yeah, there's a Miami in Ohio.
There's a Miami in Ohio? Okay. I did not know that. I'm like learning some new United States geography. I did not know there was a Miami in Ohio. That is wild. I don't think anyone knows that except for the people that live there, probably.
So I guess question for the audience as well, where in the world are you? So yeah, when I've done streams in the past, I've had people from all around the world. So I just love to learn where everyone is. So yeah, drop in the chat where in the world you're from.
Full of cornfields.
Full of cornfields. There we go. Miami, Ohio is full of cornfields.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking you guys all went to Miami and you're like near the beach having a good time. That's so funny. Because he's on the East Coast.
East Coast. I'm guessing East Coast US.
Yes, I think so.
Cool. But yeah, folks watching, let us know where you are. While you're doing that, Ellie, you're here to teach me all about pieces.
Yes.
You have a great workflow. So what are we going to do today?
Okay, so I have a plan. I think it would be really cool if we all kind of not finished an article, but started to begin to write an article together. So like go through the process and see if we can like totally rely on pieces to do this. I don't want to write any words myself besides my prompts to pieces. But of course, if you were to actually write an article, you'd have to go and then write a lot yourself and kind of, I want to write a really good outline. That's the goal. So we're going to go use the Obsidian extension, the Pieces Obsidian extension, and see if we can write an article. And if in the chat you like one of the topics or it suggests something, where we have to choose something, then you can definitely write in the chat like which option you want. And then that will sort of guide the article process. So I want to write an article with you, Jim, and then also with the chat. And then I don't know how long that will take. If we still have time, then maybe we can go into VS Code a little bit. And then I want to go to the desktop, the Pieces desktop, and see, because all of our stuff that we do in Obsidian and in VS Code is kind of going to go into the desktop, and we're going to see that it all kind of collects there. So I think that'll be cool. So that's kind of the plan. The first is the Obsidian because I don't know. I think that'll be fun.
That sounds like a really cool plan. So before we jump in, just a few shout outs for where people are. Gervais is currently in New York, originally from New Delhi, all about the new. Sophia is from Nigeria, and obviously there's many fights happening about the best jollof rice going on in the chat there. We've got, the real Miami's full of tacos, maybe some Miami fighting talk happening here. We've got Coles in San Francisco. We've got MS Kulkarni in India. We've got some Cincinnati love going on, or Cincy, as it's called. I didn't realize that. And a shout out to close to my hometown. Andrew is in London. Welcome from London.
Very cool.
Before we jump in, just a quick question we've had is, does Pieces integrate with NeoVim? No, not yet. Pieces has an SDK, so if you wanted to build Pieces into NeoVim, there is potential. And as Gervais says, there's a NeoVim plugin being discussed. Would love to see some community contributions. So, Barco, I hope I've pronounced that right. If not, please correct me. Chat to Gervais, connect with him, and see whether you can do some. You want to work on the Pieces NeoVim plugin through the community.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people are doing these kind of community projects outside of Pieces, but somehow related to Pieces. I was in there for a live stream about that. I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, there's a lot of community open source stuff going on with Pieces that I didn't know about until I watched that live stream. I don't know. I forgot who was in there, but I think Mason was there maybe.
Yeah, so Mason, as Mason says, we've got an open source project for that, but not much work has started. Mason, could you share a link in the chat, and I'll make sure that gets shared to everyone, in case anyone wants to jump in on that. And while we're doing that, let's add your screen. Ellie, do you want to just talk us through Pieces in Obsidian? And actually, before we do, thinking about this, for those, is there anyone in the chat who hasn't installed Pieces? We don't have Pieces installed, because if I've just dropped a link in the chat for you, get in there, get Pieces installed. And you'll better do all the things that Ellie's doing. So
yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Then you don't have to go back and forth, and it saves. Anyway, we're gonna go into what it does later. But yeah, so I just pulled up this page just so we can kind of work with a blank slate here. I had to write a sentence here just to be able to access Pieces. It's very large, but I think it's a good size for everyone. Is it too small, or is it fine? I'm gonna keep going, but if it's too small, definitely let me know. So we are going to write an article about something. I want it to be sort of about DevRel because Jim here is an expert DevRel person. So I think it'll be cool. Will there be a pieces extension for Notion? I don't know about that. Will there?
I don't know. I don't know. Day 7.
I don't know.
Still don't know all the things.
Because Notion's like I don't know if they have an app or not, or if they just have the web app, but I don't know about that. Maybe Mason knows.
Mason's in the Notion and Obsidian are basically the same kind of idea, aren't they? See?
Right. But I think Obsidian is more kind of, at least a lot of people that I know use it. It's more private, it lives on your device and you can kind of customize it any way you want. So it's like very, very customizable. You can change literally anything about it. And I think you can like change the code and stuff. I haven't messed around with it too much with the customization, but yeah, I don't know if it would be easy to do with Notion because Notion is not like Notion is Notion. And I don't think it's as customizable.
Okay, and there's the answer there. Yeah, no official extension for Notion. Yeah, come up before. And Barco says, Notion trying to become the new Jira. Yeah, I've heard a great comment about Jira is no one likes it, but everyone tries every single other project tracking system, and then it always ends up on Jira.
Right, and they use the other one. I don't know. Trello. But then Trello started, I think a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a couple of months ago, they kind of were like, okay, well, you guys need to pay to be here now or something. They kind of introduced something where a lot of people didn't like it and then they left and then they went back to Jira. So, but I did hear after the whole Trello drama, then Notion wanted to kind of do the Trello thing. So I think that might be where it came from. That's just my sort of theory though.
And as Cole says, anyone want to help us build one? So yeah, you want to help us build a Notion plugin? Yes, we'll do it open source or something. That'd be fun. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna ask it a question. Okay, ready?
Okay.
So I highlighted this text and I'm just gonna ask pieces. Okay. So I'm gonna say like, hey, I'm with Jim from Pieces. He's the head of DevRel. We want to write an article about DevRel. Can you give me some title suggestions? Okay, let's see.
No, that's really cool. So you literally just have the text selected, right click, ask pieces.
Right.
There's that integrated in there. It's not like you're having to go to ChatGPT on a website or anything like that. It's just in where you are. So if you're in Obsidian, you don't have to leave. It's just there.
Right. And so let's see if it does this. Let me see. What is this? Add message to context. No. So in VS Code, there's a thing here above the reply, and it says like you can insert at cursor. So maybe they should add that to this too. But basically, if you clicked the button, then it would go and insert it over here, whatever the reply was. So if you wanted to like save it and add it into your, normal notes. But yeah, it basically, you just do this and highlight whatever you want to. Like, you don't need to highlight the whole thing. If you just want it to look at like one sentence of your entire article and say like, okay, this sentence looks weird. Can you give me like 10 different variations of the sentence? That's what I do a lot. Like once I'm at the later stages of an article, I'm like, okay, I feel like it doesn't sound right. Can you kind of help me make it sound similar but better? And then I'll ask for 10 or 20 variations and just go through and see if there's like a part of it that yeah. And then Sophia, the highlighted text is the context for this chat. So for this chat, like there's really no context actually, because we are starting from scratch with this article writing idea, right? So
I guess the question about the context then, if you've got that sentence, if you ask a question on that sentence, then it's going to take into consideration everything else in the document that you're working on at the moment.
Right. And even if I just did this like here, I'm pretty sure it could see this too, and it will know, about the rest of the stuff in your thing here. So it will still access that stuff. And then also something I wanted to mention is that if you guys see over here, I have GPT-4 selected. I was kind of playing around with this ever since the 4.0 came out, and I think the 4 is actually better. So I don't know why the 4.0 it gives me some weird replies, and I started looking it up and do some research, and some other people feel the same way. I guess the 4.0 is more of a turbo type of model. So sometimes I'll ask it to edit something and it just literally spits back exactly what I gave it. And I'm like, that is not what I wanted, So
it's just, you're that good. You're that good. It cannot improve on you.
No, but no, the 4 is sometimes better. The only thing about the 4.0 that's better is that it sometimes writes more like a human. If you get it, you have to prompt it so specifically. That's the issue that I noticed. You have to be so specific with your prompts. And sometimes, I'm just like, fix this. And I just wanted to do what I think, it should read my mind, basically, is what I hope. And I think that's kind of what Pieces, at least I was talking to Savo, I think that's kind of what they're going for in the first place, is eventually you shouldn't have to say much at all, and it should be able to kind of read your mind, right?
So Pieces for a head thing that goes on your noggin, reads your mind and just does all the things.
Well, not necessarily actually reading your mind, but based on all of your habits, everything you do, it should know what you want to do next, and Savo mentioned, Jarvis from Iron Man. Have you seen Iron Man before?
Yeah.
Right. Jarvis doesn't actually read Tony Stark's mind, right? But he lives with Tony Stark, so he knows everything about him and what he wants for breakfast and everything. And, he knows what he wants to do. So anyway, I think GPT-4 is better. That's the point I was trying to make. But we could try 4.0. I just don't like it. Yeah, Sophia knows. It's weird. Something about it is wrong.
Can you just go back to that dialogue a second? The one we had the different models, because you've got cloud and you've got on device up there. Because this is one of the cool things that I'm learning about Pieces is you can use these cloud LLMs, but you can also download a model, can't you? And you can run that locally, which may not be as fast because you don't have a GPU cloud, but it means the data doesn't leave your computer, doesn't it? So for high security environments, you literally, the question won't leave your device.
Right. And that's really cool. I have definitely not tried that, but I do like that. And I know a lot of people are concerned about the security, and I've seen a lot of comments about that, and people have talked about it during the Pieces podcast. Well, it's kind of scary, Pieces looking at everything you do. I've seen people make those comments, and I don't know too much about the whole security thing, but I mean, for this, especially if it was on your device, it would definitely be more secure. So
yeah, so you're dealing with medical data, or it's I mentioned my wife's a teacher. Sometimes she has to do documentation around kids with special needs, and that is very, very restricted as to what can be done with it. So they're not allowed to use ChatGPT for these things because that is very private information. So if you're running it on a local model, it never leaves your computer. So really cool for those kind of situations. And Sophia actually says my all-time favorite feature is the on-device model. And I guess big upside to it, network outage. So if you have any internet problems, you still got the local model.
That is a huge plus, I think, on the network problem.
Yeah, there's a guy, Dan. He's a pilot, and he loves Pieces, and of course,
I know Dan.
30,000 feet. He can just use something on device, not worry about the terrible Wi-Fi that you get out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would also, I don't know, I was talking to Rosie earlier, and we are on the Dan topic, is we were planning a space, not Friday, but not next Friday either, but the following Friday. So 3 Fridays in the future. And it would be really cool if Dan was there Because I think Dan has like a really unique perspective, like being a pilot and then also using pieces. I don't know. I think it's really cool. So
yeah, he definitely uses it in very different situations to everyone else. So
yes, the iOS man, Dan.
iOS
Steven.
man.
He was in the Twitter space. It's the same Dan from the Twitter space. The pilot iOS somehow coding in his free time, even though he's flying a plane.
Yeah,
right, not while flying. I hope not.
It's all an autopilot, you know. But no, a friend of mine, Cliff, he's the same. He's a pilot, and he does mobile development and Internet of Things development at 40,000 feet because, you know, they do shifts on the plane as well. And when it's an autopilot, it's write a bit of code, well, I guess. But yeah, seems to be a cool thing to do if you're a pilot.
Very cool.
Yeah, definitely while flying. So I just want to grab a sort of question from Barco about, do we have a Pieces Reddit sub? Yes. Just going to drop a link to that in the chat.
Very cool.
So it's there. And yeah, Cole mentioned we've got an AMA on the June 18th around security and privacy. So Cole, if you could just share a link to that in the chat, I'll make sure that's shared with everyone. Thank you. Anyway, yes, we're 25 minutes in and we haven't even got to our topics yet.
I know. Okay, so we are, I know, and this happened to me too when I live stream and I do something, I'm like, this could have taken 1 minute, and because of this live stream, it has taken me 40 minutes. So, but all right, so we have it gave me 10 suggestions. So maybe we can go through and pick like 3 and then they can pick the final one. We can do a vote or something. So yeah. Essential role of DevRel in today's tech industry. That sounds kind of cool because the whole AI thing could be related to that. Understanding DevRel, I feel like that's kind of boring because it's like, okay, you could just, well, maybe it'd be interesting. I don't know. Impact on DevRel on software development, why DevRel matters.
That's a good one. Why DevRel
matters. That's a
cool
one. Yeah, so that's number 4. So 1 and 4 might be better of those. And then future of DevRel, building strong developer communities, the art of DevRel. That's kind of cool. I like the art of DevRel. DevRel, the unsung hero. That's kind of like a funny title. How DevRel is changing the phase of tech companies, the rise of developer relations, a look into its importance and growth.
I think the unsung hero one, that makes DevRel feel like Sam from Lord of the Rings. Everyone thinks Frodo's the hero, but Sam is actually the real hero.
Okay, they're saying I should ask for an SEO-friendly title. That's a good suggestion. Okay, I'm going to say those are great, but can you make sure they are SEO friendly? Okay, let's see. I might zoom out a little bit just because so we can see all of it at the same time. Is it too small though?
It's okay for me, but yeah, folks in the chat, if you need Ellie to zoom back in again, just drop it in the chat and we'll zoom in.
DevRel sing rather loudly. Is that a thing?
I guess it's the unsung heroes where these are the singing heroes. And that kind of is a thing. So there's a band called the Line Breakers. It's fronted by a guy called Dylan Beattie, and they do a lot of things at different tech conferences, and they sing obviously, band, but they do parodies of famous songs. So the Billy Joel song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." It's that, but we're going to build a framework, talking about JavaScript frameworks and things like that. So if you haven't checked out the Line Breakers, got to check that out. That is DevRel singing. That is very cool.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out.
Can you zoom back in, by the way?
Right. I just saw that. I zoomed back in. So we're good. So here it says, remember SEO-friendly titles are clear, concise, and contain certain keywords that your target audience is likely to search for. Okay. So are these more SEO-friendly than those? Do you feel like you can tell the difference?
I can't. I'm not. SEO to me is one of those dark arts that there are amazing experts who can do this thing and understand the Google algorithm. To me, it's I don't know.
Use this site to make sure it's truly SEO friendly.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. We can definitely use that. Should I do that now on the live or?
No, I would say let's just keep on going with where we are.
All right, yeah, let's so I don't know, maybe this one doesn't have the unsung heroes one. So
I want the unsung heroes because
you want the unsung heroes. I think it is
unsung heroes. It drives chat. Do
you all like the unsung heroes one the best? So that's number 8 of the first list. Deverell, the unsung hero of the tech industry.
Can we get a thumbs up in the chat if you want that one?
Sophia wants Deverell, the unsung hero.
Uh-huh.
The one, okay, I have a feature request. I wish I could highlight these and just copy and paste, but it will not let me. It will not let me copy and paste this one sentence from here.
Okay, we should make a feature request. If only there was
make a feature request.
Yeah, if anyone from Pieces is watching, can we have copy and paste of just individual lines?
Yes, I would like to do that. You can do that on the VS Code one, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Acknowledged as a bug. There we go. We'll get that looked at.
Okay, so I put it here because it won't let me put a colon in the title on Obsidian. So our title is article, but this is the real title. We'll give it a nice heading. Okay, so now we have chosen our thing. I'm just gonna go in here and start a new one because otherwise I would have to type here. I think this was the way to go. So I'm going to ask it another question. So I'm going to go and say, okay, this is our article title. Can you create a simple? I'm going to go simple first because I think simple we can branch off from there. If I say outline, it's going to go crazy with the outline. ChatGPT, and all they all do that. They make a huge outline. So like a simple outline for outline. All right, let's see. Let's see how it makes it. I'm going to see the default. Here's a simple outline for our article. Oh yeah, I have another feature request. I wish there wasn't so many spaces. I think I wrote that in my article, review of pieces. There's a lot of huge spaces sometimes. I think it's with the markdown or something, how it gets sort of converted here in the Obsidian.
But I thought you were big on spaces, having seen your work on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I love spaces. But let me try this. I wonder if it's just okay. No, it is. It is it is just the spaces. But
bad Twitter spaces and spacing jokes. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I love the Twitter spaces. These spaces not so much, but it's okay. So now we have our introduction, brief overview of Deverell, importance of Deverell, definition of Deverell. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this. So you can copy the whole thing and then paste it over here. Because I want to have the outline now separate in the actual article zone, because we're gonna write and branch off from that. So yeah, I think it's good. We start with an introduction, but we don't need it to really say introduction necessarily. Okay, I don't know what happened there with the formatting because I got rid of the title, so it got weird.
Because the markdown being pasted in as raw markdown, and then how Obsidian is rendering it.
Right. Okay, so yeah, we have the intro and then we have understanding. I think it always is good to have a sort of definition because you don't want to assume anything about the reader. They could totally have no idea what is a Deverell, what is and I think a lot of people don't really know, honestly. It's a very multifaceted thing and every Deverell job is sort of different, so it's really hard to define in general.
So the question was asked of Kelsey Hightower, used to do Deverell for Kubernetes and Google and all that, very famous in the area. And his reply was, Deverell is whatever you're being paid for it to be. which I think sums it up quite nicely. Every company needs something different from DevRel, so it's you do whatever is needed. I think, yeah, Stephen's got it there. Even DevRel don't know what DevRel is.
Right.
It's so many different things. So
yeah, it is. I've heard so many different definitions, and some DevRels write code, some DevRels don't, and then they said like, oh, be careful because you might forget how to write code if you keep not writing code. So I think it just depends, what they're asking for.
Yeah, to me, I see DevRel as I help developers be successful with pieces. And that help covers a whole gamut of different things. But essentially, it's you help developers be successful. It's not about selling to people. It's about just helping them be successful. But that's just my definition. There's a million other definitions that people have.
Okay, so we can add that. We can add that here. I'm going to see. So we're going to add that as like a helping people. Did you say developers be successful?
I mean, yeah, I say developers, but because really DevRel is developer relations, because generally the target is developers. But you get people doing similar kind of roles who are not necessarily developers. There's almost like DevRel for non-developer products. You get almost like DevRel for like designers and tools like that. So really, this whole industry is around helping your users be successful. It's not about selling to them. It's just making sure they've got what they need to be successful. Majority of the time, that's content.
Right. So we can say like content related. Oh, content related, because it's going to pick up on this, and then we're gonna it'll help us branch later with new kind of ways of writing this outline. But I do really like that. And then you mentioned a quote from someone. Could you say the quote again?
Yeah, it's from Kelsey Hightower. Let me just get the exact quote.
That might be a cool quote to include.
DevRel is whatever who is paying you wants it to be.
DevRel is whoever is
whoever is paying you wants it to be.
Is whoever who is paying you want. Oops.
Yeah, I'm going to drop a link to
Kelsey.
Yeah, just dropped a link to the particular tweet in the chat.
Okay, so yeah, so we're going to include that quote somewhere.
So a couple of questions are coming through. Stephen says Playwright has DevRel and the product is test automation. So I guess the developer relations for Playwright, the developers in question are testers. So it's still, it's non-developers, but still helping them. Microsoft, actually, Sophia asked this question, is developer advocate same as cloud advocate? So Microsoft used the term cloud advocate rather than developer because they also support non-developers. You think IT ops folks, people who don't write code, maybe except possibly the odd script, who are more interested in managing operations, managing machine rollouts, permissions, governance, things like that. They still need advocacy. So Microsoft dropped the term developer advocate and came up and started using cloud advocate for that reason. Because again, it's helping users. It's the technical audience, but they're not necessarily developers. It's just helping users as a whole. So, sorry, I can geek out on DevRel for
I did not know. I didn't know about that. So I didn't even know they were called cloud advocates. So that's very cool. I like that.
Yeah, that was my official title at Microsoft. I started off as a cloud developer advocate, then became a cloud advocate. So
very cool. So do you feel like your things that you're doing in your daily life has changed since your job title has changed, or is it kind of similar? What do you think are kind of the differences in like what you were personally doing?
I mean, to me, it was the same because they called the entire team cloud advocacy because you had ops folks and developer folks. So rather than divide us into cloud ops advocates and cloud developer advocates, it was just cloud advocates. So really, it's still kind of the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just Microsoft used that term to represent the team as a whole, to be inclusive of ops folks and developer folks. And then you kind of got the no-code folks as well. So
okay, that's very cool.
Amatis mentioned there's AI advocates.
AI, there's all kind of advocates, I think, now.
Yeah, platform advocates for platform engineering. We're all advocates. We advocate for our users and we advocate for the companies we work for.
Barco said, is she going to code an AI chatbot developer advocate? Not today, but maybe someday. That would be funny to see. But I think we're a long way away from that, because being a developer advocate is such a human thing to do. Imagine like hosting some kind of community event, or even if it's online. So, I mean, in person, we'd have to get a whole robot moving around and everything. But if it's online and then the person hosting is like, hello, everyone. I'm so glad you came to this meetup. Let's talk about this. Like, I don't know, even if it was really good at conversing, I think I did. Okay. To be fair, I know that ChatGPT came out with the whole voice thing. I did try to, I'm learning some Japanese. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to talk to it in Japanese. It actually did a really good job, but if you actually talk to it, in your native language, it's just like, I'd much rather talk to my friend. I'd much rather talk to a real person than this AI, So I think it would be very hard. Yeah, like a robot giving a keynote. Imagine that. I think we're kind of still far away from robots actually producing like emotions within people,
I mean, the thing that's making this stream so much fun is the human connection that we've got. We've got 2 humans here on the stream. We've got a load of humans in the audience, listening, chatting, getting involved. That human connection is so important, and you can't really have an AI doing that same thing, because, we've all shouted at our Alexas and said not to Alexas when it's rubbish. You don't want to have a keynote speech where you get the same response. Yeah, Sophia says human connection, so much needed.
So much, because I mean, have you ever gotten a comment on Twitter where it's obviously this person has used AI to generate this comment? Like, imagine I post. So recently I posted the blog post about pieces, and imagine like there's a comment that says, "Wow, this is a very insightful post. I like how you included this and this and this. I am intrigued to see further posts from you," and stuff. I'm like, I feel like you didn't really read my post, and this is weird.
All these platforms have the button to do that, don't they? You go on LinkedIn, there's an AI button to generate a reply. It's like,
right. No. So many people use that on LinkedIn too. It's worse than Twitter, I think. I see so many AI replies on LinkedIn. I'm like, I can't handle it. I don't even want to be here anymore.
So the voice you just did, by the way, that AI voice, that is a very good AI voice. And I actually did a video a while ago all about generative AI, and I did the whole thing with generative AI. So I used ChatGPT, I think it was like 3 back in the day, to generate the script, and I used an AI tool to do text to voice and all that, and it sounded exactly the same as the voice you just did.
Yeah, I can actually do a better one. You want to hear it? I'm really good at doing the Google Maps, like the Siri Google Maps. Okay. In 300 meters, turn right. At the next stop sign. Wait, I think they say like you should take a left. Turn right on Oak Street. Then in 200 meters, your destination will be on the left. Wow. That's my best map voice.
that is actually spot on with Google Maps. That is
incredible. Yeah. I used to because I used to live in Taiwan, and I had my own scooter that I would drive around. But like if I was driving on the back of someone else's scooter, I'm the map person, right? So I have to hold the map and like look where we're going next and try to not to like lose my phone in the wind. And so like I just thought it was funny. So I'd always be like, and 200 meters, turn left. And my Taiwanese friends thought I was like hilarious just because, English is their second language, so they could never do the voice. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, I have skills. Not all Americans can do the map voice.
That is a very, very good skill. A lot of shout outs to the chat for that skill. Yeah. Yeah, please Google Ellie voice. Yes. Yes.
I know. Shive said, did you ever take up voice acting? Actually, that would be something I have thought about that, but I never did. I think it would be so cool to voice like one of those really weird anime voices someday. Like if they do dubbing in English, I would love that because, you know, I don't know if there's any One Piece fans here, but you know how in One Piece they have a lot of the kind of like more villain characters have these really weird laughs. And the normal characters do too, but they have just laughs that don't sound like laughs anymore, you know? Like one of them is like, she la 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 la, or something like that. Like it doesn't even sound like a laugh. And I'm like, wow, I would love to voice like just a weird voice, just a funny, kind of crazy voice. I just think that would be so fun. Anyway, that is my goal. Actually, low-key, that's one of my like life goals. I'm like, please let me like dub some weird voice. Yeah, Sophia knows about the laughs I'm talking about. There's a lot of weird laughs in there. So
that is very cool.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody in the chat has connections, I'm open to voice acting. So I know Luffy's laugh is really good too. Yeah. All right. So do you want to try to go back to this and see if we can expand? Yeah. All right. So we have the intro, we have the intro, like understanding the definition part, which is important. And then this part is the part that kind of we need to, well, the conclusion, all articles need a conclusion. So this is like the meat of the article. This is the part that like, if there are certain points that you think are kind of essential to, you know, this topic. So why are they the unsung heroes? That's what we need to answer in the meat here. I guess they mentioned challenges because it's like, okay, well, you know, if you're a hero, you have to go through a lot of challenges, right? So that's what that is about. And then the impact and then the future. So I don't know. I think these are pretty good, but if you want, we could also try to generate like more middle parts outlines and see if there's any other ones like that. That's kind of what I would do. I would want to see like, so this is the meat. I don't know if it's going to get my reference of the article. Can you generate a few like variations of these three topics? Because I really only want it to give me the top part, like the title of it, but I don't know if it's going to do that. We're going to see what it does. Chrissy mentioned I think Chrissy's talking about a character from One Piece, and his laugh is like this, yo ho 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 ho, yo ho 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 ho. That's how he laughs. So, but he's a skeleton, so everybody thought he looked scary at first, but actually he's really sweet. All right, so we have
a nice friendly laugh, you know, rather than whoa, type thing.
Right. They made him really friendly, so it worked out. Even though he looks kind of scary, but he's really cool. All right, so we have some variations. It didn't get what I was saying about the thing, but I was trying to not be that specific on purpose because I wanted to know what I'm trying to say. So obstacles. So it actually basically did the same thing. It just changed the wording. These are kind of the significance.
So it's giving you a number of different variations, isn't it? Rather than just here's one.
Right. It's not necessarily giving me like a new idea. It's still going with these same ideas, just changing the wording. So I kind of want new ideas. I don't want you to just change the wording. I want new ideas. Let's see what it does. Chrissy sent a link to the laugh that we're talking about. The unseen power of DevRel in tech startups. Okay, that's kind of cool because that's kind of relevant to you, right?
Yeah, how DevRel can be a game changer for startups. Speaking of someone who's working for a startup, it's I'm a game changer, and the rest of the DevRel folks here are game changers.
I like that. Yeah, I like that one a lot. So yeah, I wish I could take it, but I'm gonna do this. So then this is the intersection of DevRel and tech innovation. Mm-hmm. Hold on, wait. I'm gonna paste this here, and then I'm going to get rid of all this stuff besides this one. Yeah, so we put it there. Okay, the intersection of DevRel and tech innovation. So the original was challenges, and this is kind of interesting. I don't know if I like that title though. It kind of sounds boring to me. I'm thinking like, does it sound like fun? Does it sound interesting for the reader? DevRel and customer engagement. I think there's like definitely a better way to say that. The resilience of DevRel professionals.
That's probably an important one. DevRel has a very high burnout rate.
Oh, really?
Because we have to do so many things. Yeah, it's different to like an engineer where you have a ticket to work on. You've got that focus on this is a product feature. I will work on the ticket. I will deliver it. In DevRel, it's great for people with ADHD because it's all this, squirrel. I've got a community chat over here. I've got this thing going. I've got this thing going. I've got this thing going. I've got to get my CFP in for this conference. I've got to speak at this conference. I've got to get ready for this event. I've got to write some code. I've got to write this blog post. You do so many different things in so many different directions. And there's a lot of challenges around measuring impact. So you don't necessarily know how successful you're being if you're not measuring it well. And you can end up with I'm pulled in so many different directions. I am burning out. So yeah, resilience is probably an important topic, or at least for those who are in DevRel.
Okay, we're gonna take it. I think. Would you say that is a where did it go?
I guess it's part of the unsung heroes. The fact that we are, if we're more likely to have burnout, then we're kind of heroes because we're fighting through the burnout. Kind of, maybe.
Right. I haven't heard that burnout is really a thing in the DevRel sort of space, because I've heard that in the developer space, but I haven't heard it. I've heard a lot of people being like, oh yeah, being a DevRel is awesome. That's kind of what I've heard. But
when you see the DevRels flying around the world and talking at conferences, and you just see that Twitter stream of, there's me, I'm in the infinity pool, and in Marina Bay Sands in Singapore, got a cocktail in my hand, just been speaking at an event, and people go, wow, this is great. But all the journey to get to that point, you're not seeing all this. You're not seeing all the collaboration on the content we're creating, the fact that I've got yes, I'm flying somewhere, but I'm sitting for 12 hours in a tiny metal box in the middle seat. Not exactly fun. I'm up early in the morning, conference all day, on the go, bang, 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 doesn't stop. And then all you're seeing is that 5 minutes at the end where I can take a break and have a cocktail. So it's the whole, what you see on social media is not reality at all. People don't post pictures of themselves when they're just falling out of bed. They post pictures of themselves when they're looking nice for an event, and you go, wow, this person looks nice all the time. It's like, no, that's the one moment in time that someone's chosen to share. So yeah, DevRel is, if you love it, you love it, but it's very challenging. And then what you see on the internet does not necessarily match the reality.
Right. That's really interesting. Yeah. Because, and Sophia mentioned, I think mental health is just not talked about not often enough, which sucks. Yeah. Because I think even in other spaces, not just DevRel, people do portray sort of this image of themselves or what they're doing, and they try to portray it in a positive way generally. So we don't always see what's actually going on with people. And I think especially DevRels have to do that in a way, because it's like you are a representative for this company, in a way. So if you start like complaining about a bunch of stuff, it probably doesn't look very good either. Should we? That's funny. I want to see those updates from Chevet. Please just post you sleeping at the airport.
Yeah, the reality of DevRel is that you're sitting at the airport for 6 hours because your flight's delayed. Or just you're spending 3 days crushing on a presentation that you have to do. You deal with the worst of people as well as the best of people. Yes, you're there dealing with the community, and if the community loves your product, they'll be nice to you. If they hate your product, they can be very mean to you. And
oh, really? So when you go to like booths at conferences and stuff, and people actually are mean to you, like that happens?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
It happens. Oh, your product is this, that, and the other.
And then you're like,
thanks. Okay, can I have some constructive feedback? Maybe.
Oh no. Right.
Especially when I was at Microsoft,
oh yeah, people do have problems with Microsoft.
Windows 10 is rubbish. I hate Windows 10. Thanks. I've got I don't like Windows 10 either. Why are you telling me about it?
Right. Even on a smaller scale, when I started learning, because I was more focused on the MERN stack, and then I started learning C#, .NET stuff. And then when I started posting about that, like there was definitely some people that had a problem with it for some reason. So I definitely noticed, like, for some reason, there is a group of people that seem to really dislike C#, .NET framework in general. And I don't know why. Yeah, I started getting like random hate about it. And I'm like, okay, it's like, sorry, I'm not using the MERN stack or whatever. It was just so weird. I'm like, I didn't invent this, okay?
And they're hating on .NET because they're wrong. It's like, why would you use this thing? It's only on Windows, and I'm there on my Mac writing .NET code that runs on an iPhone. What?
Right, no, I'm literally writing C# in VS Code, living my life on my Mac. There's nothing wrong with that, but yeah, it's a whole thing. People have stigma against a lot of things. Steven ran away from Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add burnout to this here, by the way, just so we don't forget. So burnout is as part of the whole resilience thing, and we can definitely mention that. I think. I think stories is probably good, and then I don't know if this is really what you mentioned though. I think when you were just talking about resilience, it was more like the day-to-day, how much you have to do, all of the different roles you have to be in at the same time. Or would you say that this is also an aspect?
I mean, in terms of resilience and burnout, it's more all the different hats you're wearing, all the different things you're doing. I mean, yes, we do need to also keep up with the tech landscape, but that's not one of the biggest things. And that really affects engineering as a whole. It's not just about DevRel. Engineers are all pushed to know the latest tech stack and stay up to date. And, you can be at a company where they're using an old version of .NET framework, and that's all you do. And if you try and apply for a new job, you have to know .NET Core, or, so yeah, it's affects everyone. DevRel is usually the way you're pulled in different places.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we can definitely mention that, because I do think I've seen that with other people as well. There's just DevRel people do a lot of stuff. And I think that's also comes to the point of like people can't really define it very well, and that's probably why. And then Chrissy said add statistics. So yeah, that would be a good thing. I don't know if Pieces is going to give me those statistics. That would be probably something that you'd have to search and find yourself, possibly, but we could try to get it to tell me some statistics. So we will see about that. Yeah. So and then this is the challenges. We're going to get rid of this because I feel like resilience and challenges are the same. Or do you think they're not? There should be a challenge section. It could be kind of different too. So
yeah, I mean, one of the challenges is, resilience is the ability to deal with everything that happens there. The challenges really for DevRel are more things like justification of what you do. So measurement and metrics is kind of the hard one. Why are we paying you all this money to be a DevRel? Well, I've just got 100 paying customers signed up. Can you prove it?
Wow.
So
like,
I can
like proving.
Yeah, proving your worth. in some ways.
Okay, proving your worth, like especially if you don't necessarily have metrics on it, or getting the metrics would be the hard part.
So sometimes it's both. So sometimes you can prove your value through metrics, sometimes you can't. So for example, if I do, take this live stream, for example, I can see how many people are watching us live right now. So that's a valuable metric. We can look at the number of conversations having, that's a valuable metric. So, but that's only valuable if I can record that somewhere and show that. But the other situation is things like, I will go to a tech event and I will speak to an audience. I've spoken to like 1,600 people, for example, at in Singapore, the place where you saw me at the cocktail. Speaking to 1,600 people. Of those 1,600 people, there could have been 100 of those have gone home, gone back to work and said, wow, we want to use this thing that we learned about. And they've implemented it and they are suddenly paying Microsoft a whole stack of cash. And there's no way to prove that. Maybe somebody could look back at the attendance data and see what companies were attending and then tie that back up. Because it's not necessarily about the person. We tell a person at an event, the person tells a colleague, the colleague then tells their manager, who then signs up for the thing. And we have no way
and it could be like kind of random feeling maybe, and it wouldn't necessarily be like, and it also could be months later or weeks later. So I think it would be hard to kind of make that connection. And very especially if you didn't have like a specific link or like a QR that you were giving out,
but
then it would definitely be hard.
Yeah, even if you have one of those, you stick, here's my QR code, scan it, and people don't scan it, and they said they Google it later. Or they scan it, and then they tell someone else what it's called, and that person Googles it later.
I guess people try to get the metrics when they ask you like, oh, where did you find this product? And then you kind of, click the drop down, you're like, oh, Jim, but I feel like a lot of people don't say Jim, they're just like, oh, whatever. I don't want to answer this.
The first one on the list. That was the first on the list. That's what
media I did. Or whatever. Yeah. Or maybe they forgot your name or something, and then it's like, well, there it goes, and then it's hard to get that data back. I don't know if there is a way to get the data in a better way. I think that would have to be, I don't know. There'd have to be like a new idea.
Yeah, that's the thing that no one's ever really solved is doing that. Instead, you look at kind of thematics of, if DevRel are talking about this thing, are we seeing an uptick in this thing? That's kind of the closest you can get. So I was chatting to the folks on the Visual Studio Code team. So VS Code, they've got a TikTok, even Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, doing a big thing on that. You can't have links in there. So they can't prove that somebody watched this TikTok and clicked on this link. But what they can do is they can say, hey, we had so many 100,000 views of a TikTok on this topic, and we can see a spike in the number of users on the same topic. So that's how we kind of we've got a correlation. We can't prove that it's a causation, but we can see the correlation. So we'll take that as a win. Thank you very much.
I guess on that day, then you would see the correlation. Then that would be a pretty good indicator. But I think if it wasn't, on a specific day, then it would be hard to tell.
Yes.
Yeah. Although I know Twitter does do the whole like, oh, how many times was this link clicked? So that's sort of a way to see that as well. But right now, if you post a link on Twitter, your post is basically like thrown into the abyss. I remember a couple months ago when I guess a year ago when I more so first started using Twitter. You could post a link and fine, everybody would see it. That follows you pretty much. But now, no, Twitter just really hates links for some reason. So I know the reason.
They changed just pictures, didn't they, with no description, so you wouldn't even know that it was a link until they eventually put the little description thing back. But
right. But like if so the link looks weird too. But even if you post a link, like it deboosts your post by a lot. So like way less people are gonna see your post if you include a link. So sometimes like I'll post something and then I'll wait like a minute or something and then like put the link in the comment below that post. That helps a little bit, but I think they figured that out and they still deboost those, which sucks if you like write an article or you do something and then it has a link and then it just, it's in the, I think Elon Musk like posted something about it too. He's like, links are deboosted. So anyway, kind of sucks, but yeah.
That explains. So I've seen a lot of these LinkedIn comments on LinkedIn as well and on Twitter, and I always wondered why. Just put the link in there. I didn't realize they were deboosted.
Yeah, that's why. It's because if you post the link in the original, it deboosts you by a lot. If you post it in the comment, it's not as bad, but it still does deboost you, I think.
Today I learned.
Anyway, food for thought. But
wow.
Yeah, I hope they kind of reduce the deboosting a little bit, because I think like people do want to share stuff with people that are on other websites besides Twitter. You know, it's not like, I understand he wants to keep people on Twitter, but at the same time, like we should have the ability to, you know, share what we're working on or our other accounts on different platforms, or, you know, a blog, or maybe we made a new website or something. Like, I think we should be able to share that and not be, you know, punished for it. Yeah, Sophie, I mean, you can do some tests with it. You can like do an experiment. I did experiment with it, and it definitely does. And you can look it up. I think people talk about it on like Reddit. People talk about it on Twitter too. So it is a thing for sure.
Okay, so Timo Code says, if you add media like a screenshot of a video on the first post, it gets a boost. Then you reply with a link, and that gets deboosted.
Right. Yeah, because video media is boosted right now. And photo media is boosted. So like if you make a tweet with a one photo, it should get a little bit more action than just a tweet with words. But yeah, the links ruin everything pretty much. It does suck. It does suck because I want to post my articles and whatever. And yeah, so it is what it is, but something to consider. So like, even, you know, if you post a link to a YouTube video, that's why, if you did want to share videos or like shorts, it's better just to post it directly to Twitter, because if the point is like getting people to see it and not necessarily people to follow you on, you know, YouTube, then posting directly would be much better, because right now like videos are getting boosted if they're directly posted to X. Yeah, X is totally weird. I totally agree with you. It is.
Yeah, it's amazing. The guy who runs it's supposed to be really smart, but not seeing
it's weird right now. Yeah. So we have right now sort of a outline which we could go. Okay. So we have the meat. Oh wait, I don't want these fresh ideas. Okay. The unseen power of, oh yeah, that's the tech startup. Wait, we don't
want that one.
We don't want this one, right? Yeah. I think that one, the unseen power and the tech startups, the resilience, the challenges, I think it's, yeah, like you said, it's a little bit different. And then the future, I don't know if future really makes sense to the unsung hero part. I feel like
not really.
That doesn't really make sense. I feel like we could just do that. Although I like to end on like more of a positive note. So I'd want to say something, I'd want to make this, even though it's about challenges, somehow positive, and then say something positive here.
Yeah, we need something positive, because it's for the heroes. We burn out. We got all these challenges, but
right. I would almost maybe move this to the last one.
Yeah.
Or maybe
let's ask pieces.
Yeah, I would almost move this after the other two, because then we would be ending on a sort of a positive note here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then okay, we're gonna do this now. I don't know if we need a call to action for recognition. I don't think that's really the point, is like recognition, really. It's more like, I don't know. I would say it's more of like a introduction to people that don't really know about it. You know, maybe they don't even know it exists, kind of thing. Like, I wouldn't say we would be writing this for like, oh, go shout out some DevRel people. I guess you could. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have a call to action in any post.
Yeah, I do want a call to action, but I don't know about this one. Yeah,
I don't know what would be a good one. maybe if there's a good article you could do about DevRel, like, hey, go to this article to learn more about DevRel, for example.
Right. I like also call to actions where you actually tell them to, because, okay, like, for example, this one where it's basically saying like, oh, recognize your fellow DevRel people that you admire and stuff. I think that's a good one. Like recently, I think it was the Women's Month or something, or maybe it was Women's Day. I don't know exactly, but there was a lot of people posting like their, favorite women in tech, and it was all going on for like a couple days. And I thought that was cool. And I like when articles sort of end with like Sophia said like recommend a book or a video or an article. I think that's definitely a good idea too. I also would like to kind of like inspire someone to do something, some kind of like change in their life, if that makes sense. Like, for example, with these coffee chat spaces that I'm doing, I don't want people just like come and show up to a coffee chat space and then that's it. And then they leave and go home and like sit in front of their computer and they go on with their day. Like, I hope that they go and have a coffee chat, like one-on-one with somebody from this coffee chat space, if that makes sense. So I like ending an article with somehow saying like, now you can do this thing or whatever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, give them that very direct action to do themselves rather than just read something. It's actually do something yourself. Because it mentioned, I'm just looking at the list of things that popped up in Pieces. It did mention about joining a community, which I guess is one way to do it.
Where is that one? Oh, this one.
I don't know of any public DevRel communities that are any good, really. I mean, I'm a member of a number of private ones, but they're obviously for folks already in the industry. So
there's one called Lead DevRel on Twitter, and they host Twitter Spaces. So I feel like they do really good community outreach in regard to DevRel, and I think they actually like wanted to talk to you in the last space. I remember I was listening in on that space, and they were like, "Oh, we see Jim from Pieces." Do you remember that?
No, I don't think I've.
I think you were in the listeners, and I remember they like shouted you out, but I wasn't sure if you like actually heard it or not.
I didn't. Maybe that was just before your space. I may have just joined that one.
Right.
Was that the one just before yours?
Right. It was right before my space, and I was like, "Oh, Jim is about to get in a space again here."
Yeah, I missed that. Yeah, Sophia recommends Lead DevRel. I'm just going to drop a link to this in the chat for folks who want to follow them on Twitter. There we go. So yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah, join Lead DevRel and interact with the DevRel community.
Right. I like that idea. So I added that there.
Cool.
So I think that would be a good kind of an ending to an article. Yeah. Because I like to, I want to somehow write, if it's some kind of article where it's more of like we're not literally writing code here in this article or anything, so it technically falls into the category of like soft skills, inspirational. Like, I feel like anything that's not directly code goes into the inspirational territory. Like, at least when I went to that conference, like anything that wasn't like, okay, here we're going to do a demo and actually get into some code and stuff, like somehow was actually a more inspirational type of thing, if that makes sense. And that's sort of how I think of articles too. If we're not literally talking about something very technical, then I think that it falls sort of into the inspirational category. And I hope that somebody can like benefit from what they're reading instead of just like, oh, now I understand what a DevRel is. Like, okay, you could Google that, I don't want to be Googleable here with the article. Like, I hope it actually gives like some human skills, human perspective. So that would be kind of the goal. Even though we're using AI to write the outline, we still want some human perspective here.
So I really like the fact you say this. You want to inspire people. That's the thing I always do whenever I'm planning a talk. I'm sure any folks have seen me discuss how I do talks and demos in the past. To me, it's about inspiration, not teaching. I'm not going to spend an hour on a talk showing you exactly how to do something, because chances are that doesn't match exactly your requirements. So this may be cool, but it's not. I can't teach you this one thing because it may not match. Instead, I can show you and I can inspire you. Here's what you can do. These are some demos of stuff you can do, and I'm not giving this demo so you remember the exact steps I've done, but instead so you're inspired to do this yourself. And here's the resources you need to do it yourself. So I'm a big fan of all these things being, let's get excited about this together. Let's geek out on this together. Let's get inspired to do it and go off and do it. It's like I'm hoping everyone in the chat now is not going to try and write an article about DevRel using pieces in Obsidian, but instead they're inspired to see what they can do themselves with pieces in Obsidian or VS Code or JetBrains or their browser or desktop. It's kind of, here's a cool thing we're doing. Hopefully this will inspire you to do your own cool things. So I just love the fact that you're talking about these inspirational type ideas.
Yeah. And I agree. Like if somebody here that's watching and like maybe they never have written an article before and they're like, I don't really like writing or whatever, I wouldn't have anything to say. I think a lot of people, like, they think that maybe they don't have anything to write about or anything to share of value. Like maybe people don't want to read their article. I feel like there's a lot of kind of thoughts like that if you've never kind of gone into writing blogs. But if you actually do want to, like, there's a part of you that's like, I want to write an article, but maybe it's not for me. It's actually easy to get started. Like having an outline makes it way easier than literally just staring at a blank page. Like remember when we had just literally a one sentence up here, then there was nothing. I feel like it would be hard for me to go through and like write all of this outline just thinking. I mean, you could, but it would be, more tiring, I think. And then versus this, you could literally just, open pieces and be like, hey, you could describe your own self a little bit. Like, oh, I'm remember a React developer. I like this and I like cats and I do this. And you could say a couple different things about yourself and then say, I want to write an article, based on like my description of myself. What do you think? Can you come up with some titles? Like, I think that would be a cool place to start, like come up with some titles. Now you have some titles, and if you like one of them, you can go and be like, can you make an outline for this? And then go through that, and you could actually write an article based on your own experience. So I don't know. I just think that would be cool. Like that, if somebody got that from this, I think that would be cool. Or if somebody was like inspired to go download pieces and try it for whatever they need to use it for, then that would also be really cool. So, or if they suddenly are into DevRel.
But
yeah.
So this kind of ties in a bit with a problem at school that my 11-year-old has. So I've got 11-year-old, last year elementary school, and they are very, very good at writing once they get started.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that problem too. A lot of people have the blank page syndrome. I think that's what it's called in art. It's hard to get started when you have a blank page.
Yeah. You need that first line on there, that first word or whatever to guide you. So yeah, I mean, my 11-year-old, they've been using ChatGPT, other tools. I need to put pieces on their laptop actually, just to kind of
That's cool.
get them started. Just you have to write some narrative fiction about something, and you got to come up with the idea. Pieces, give me ideas for narrative fiction. Bang, there's my idea. Get started, and then it just flows. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are like that. Imagine you're trying to get into drawing. Maybe it feels like you can meditate. A lot of people do kind of meditative, relaxing art stuff, and then you just have a blank page. But I feel like if you're, somewhere out in nature and there's some deer or something, I'm like, maybe we can draw a deer. Like there's deer right there, right? It's easier when you have something like, okay, here's the prompt at least, in a lot of classes when you're in elementary school, though, they give you a prompt, right? And you're like, okay, I can go from there and come up with something. But I think if you're trying to do some creative work where it's like, okay, I need to make something for my own blog. Nobody is telling me to do this. I just want to. I think that's where it's sometimes like you get into a sort of a creative block. And I think using pieces for brainstorming, especially like since you can use it in Obsidian and just put the stuff right there, it like keeps you here, because if you like, for me, okay, if I open up Google right now and I go into ChatGPT, like I might on the way to going to ChatGPT, like forget what I'm doing and go to like Twitter or something. And then I'm like 20 minutes later, I'm thinking, what was I doing? And I'm like, oh, I was gonna write an article. Like I was gonna ask like ChatGPT for some suggestions, and now I'm totally lost and I've wasted time. So anyway, I think this is like a good focus thing. Yeah.
Good. Johnny says the same thing. That's so me. And I must admit, I do the same. I do the same, sir. I'm a type 1 diabetic. This is the worst one I get. Is I'm a type 1 diabetic. Okay, so I've got a blood sugar monitor on my arm. This little thing here tracks my blood sugar, and I can check on my phone what my blood sugar is. So it's like, okay, it's been a while since I've eaten. Let's go and check it. Pick my phone up to check my blood sugar while I'm here. Oh, I've got a notification on LinkedIn. Let's have a look at that. Or while I'm on LinkedIn, let me go and check the social Twitter. And I'll spend 20 minutes going through, replying to people, chatting to people, and then wonder why I'm not feeling so great because I forgot to check my blood sugar. And I go check it. It's like, oh, go off and eat something. So yes.
Right. That literally is how it is. And I think, I don't know if it was Mason or Savo or Rosie, somebody was doing some intro videos about like focus mode in Pieces. And I think that's part of the desktop. I haven't used the focus mode. Maybe I have by default. Maybe I didn't even know I was using it, but that's the whole thing. Like, I love how it's literally here and I can't get unfocused unless I choose to do so, sabotage myself and open Google. But yeah, Sophia said, Jason, you're late. Jason said, what did I miss? Jason, you missed everything already. But we're still going. I don't know. You missed this. We did this whole outline from mini outline to big outline, and then expanding on the parts of the outline and just kind of going through the process of like how you would use Pieces to get started writing an article. That's the whole thing that we're doing. So clearly nothing.
How rude.
I know. Jason's a troll though. He's a community troll, so don't mind Jason. You'll get to know Jason a lot if you're doing a lot of spaces and stuff. I know. Ellie, the expert Pieces.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not an expert, but I'm doing my best to show you how to use some of the things.
But just going back to your point about focus, that's kind of one of the cool things about Pieces, isn't it? It's in Obsidian, it's in VS Code, it's in your browser, but it's not, and it's the same thing that's there, isn't it? Because if you were to go and open this in VS Code, for example, would you still see your chat history, the same chat history?
No.
No? Okay, that's not shared.
Oh wait. VS Code, no. I think that the I don't know if they did it or not. I don't think so. The live context hasn't gotten to Obsidian to VS Code. I don't think it knows, but the desktop knows. So I'm going to open. So we're kind of done with the outline. We're not going to go into writing the whole article. I think we don't have time for that. But based on, what you just asked, we're going to open this here. So this is what I asked earlier, kind of what I was doing, although it said I was doing some snipping, I guess, but this is what we were just doing. So if you see today, like we go here, it captured like everything we were doing in Obsidian in here, but it doesn't do that in VS Code because I think it's not really relevant to VS Code, if that makes sense. Like VS Code doesn't need to know about my DevRel article. But when they do have the live context
next week or so,
right, then you could ask possibly in VS Code, then you could be like, oh, I was writing that DevRel article, right? And I want to kind of talk about that and write some stuff in here. Like maybe you're writing like some README or something like that, and you want to add some info about that. Like maybe you could then do that when the live context comes in.
So as you're flipping between these different applications and different use cases, you've got that you eventually have that ability to just transfer that same knowledge. You plan this out in Obsidian and go, I want to put this in my blog now, and my blog's in Markdown in VS Code, for example.
Yes.
So I can take all my notes from over here, drop that in over here in VS Code. That's kind of the goal.
And ideally, like, I don't know how it will do with the Markdown, so we would have to actually test that. But right, you can definitely open the chat, but like what would be cool is if you open VS Code and then, you know, you have your README or your Markdown file, and then that's for your blog site. And you've already finished this, actually. Like, imagine you've already finished it. And then you're like, can you take, you know, well, hopefully it'd have a better name than article, but, you know, whatever the title is, DevRel article, and can you put that in there, you know?
And have it formatted for your blog in whatever format that's
right.
in.
And hopefully it would format perfectly, but who knows? I don't know if it could. That would be ideal though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't need to have like any that would take away a huge portion of effort from like having your own blog site, because that's something I post my blogs on other places just because I'm too lazy to do it myself. But I think that would take away that part of like the extra effort that makes people not want to do that, if that makes sense. Like if all you had to say is like, can you put this blog on my site? Then I think it'd make it a lot easier. Yeah. So yeah, and there's a lot of comments. So we should look at what they're saying.
Yeah, first of all, Nikki T Online is here. Hey, glad to have you with us.
Hello. Yeah, we had a coffee chat recently.
Yeah.
And then he said, can we summarize something related to this live stream? Ask Pieces Copilot. I should ask.
So we'll ask Pieces, because I guess we've got all the chat going on. Capture that. If that live context has been captured, we could actually ask Pieces to summarize the chat.
Right. I don't know if it will get that, but we can try. I don't know, because it says, I don't know if this is a setting, but I have to click live context on for every time I like start a chat. So I don't know if it's my problem with my settings. Maybe it's this. Anyway, let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. Like, so what should I ask? What are we doing? Are we talking about in the learning pieces for developers live stream? I don't know if it'll get it, because I think the live context was off during that. Oh, well, it got what we were doing in Obsidian the whole time, but it's not looking at my chat here. Right. So I don't know if you have that, because I don't know why. I think it's like one of my settings is not right for the capturing like what I'm doing in my browser.
Yeah, I don't have Pieces running at the moment. I turn everything off when I'm live streaming just in case. So I don't actually have that running. But we could. Here's a suggestion. Try this. Summarize what Gervais said in the comments.
Okay, let me see.
If not, Savo says just pull up YouTube on the current screen to grab it.
What if I pull up the StreamYard?
StreamYard, yeah. So we've got the comments from StreamYard.
And if I pull that up here, now we're like in an infinite mirror here. So let's see. Yeah, because I have two different screens. Let me see. Can you see? Wait.
So while you're running that, just comment from J3H saying, I'm here, was on YouTube, but comments from YouTube are not displayed. Yes, so Ellie and I are using StreamYard. We get to see the comments from all the different platforms in one place. So yeah, if you're on Twitch, you won't see the comments from YouTube, but you'll see all our replies. If you're on YouTube, you won't see the comments from Twitch, which is why we're trying to bring them all up on the screen. So if you hear us talking about a comment, you don't know what it is, it's probably because it's on the other platform to what you're on.
Okay, so it is working. So that was the reason, yeah, because I'm always using two monitors. So I was wondering, like, why isn't it getting what I'm talking about? There's a few times today I was trying to do something, and then I'm like, I didn't know that. I figured it would be kind of, it's the same device, right? But two different monitors. I didn't know that. Is there a way to not do that, or have the ability for it to see my other monitor? Because I never really have the stuff that I'm referring to on the same monitor, right? I usually have it on another monitor. But that's interesting. It does know what Gervais was saying. So it said the two comments that he said recently, and then about the multiple streams.
Yeah, it's a bug. It will be fixed. There
Cool,
we go.
cool. We found like 3 bugs already today, so that's
great.
fun.
Loving this.
Yeah, we're searching for bugs. We're really QAs now.
It's the demo gods, and every time you demo something publicly, that's when all the bugs come in. So great way for testing.
Right, but that's good to know, because I was like, is something wrong with my pieces settings or something? Like, that's what I was thinking, and no, I guess it's not. It's just my multiple screen thing. But yeah. So the whole stuff we were talking about is all in here. It's all been captured.
I just want to take a second just to go back to what you did, because you just kind of did it. It's like, yeah, look at me. I'm asking a question about about what Gervais asked, and it's getting the answer there. But that was all very like, yeah, I just asked a question and it's telling me what Gervais was talking about. But really, this is mind-blowing stuff, because you haven't manually put that into pieces, have you? It's captured what you're doing, understood it, so you were able to ask a question. It's not like you're in Obsidian, you've selected the text and said, do stuff for this text. It's detected what you were doing. So you can kind of bring together all these things, even the stuff that's not in pieces. And that's really, really cool. It's kind of one of the things. I mean, Savo really demonstrated this to me when I was interviewing, and this was one of those moments of, I want to work for this company, because this is such a cool thing.
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to show you in here, so like right after we kind of acknowledged, like, okay, it's literally capturing all of these conversations, and then also our chat here in the stream. If you go here, I don't know if you've actually looked at this before. It's the captured context, and it's what's really interesting to me about this is that, okay, like for example, I was looking through it today and it captured this, I guess on May 28th, the Three.js docs. The thing is, like, I literally have never searched. I don't think I've ever actually searched Three.js. But I have interacted with a lot of like Three.js stuff on Twitter. And then I remember like thinking, oh, it looks so cool. I want to learn that someday, but I'm already doing so many things that my head is going crazy. So I cannot do that, but I'm going to put that like in my mind, I put that on like the back burner of things I want to do someday is learn Three.js. And when I was looking through these today, I was like, what? How does it know that I want to learn Three.js? That's just really weird. And it does capture things that, I could assume that it could capture. Oh, wait. Firstly, this is capturing things that Pieces thinks might be important to you later. That's my idea for what this is. And so it was kind of insane that it captured this. And then some things are a little bit just very strange. Like I was reading a post on Twitter about like DSA stuff, and then I might have searched something. I might have clicked something is what has happened maybe. And then it ended up like saving these binary search tree, linear search tutorials. I don't know. I never actually went on the website, these ones, but it suggests those to me because maybe it thinks that I want to learn that based on what I was looking at. So anyway, this is really cool to me because I think it's like a personalized feed of things that it thinks you're gonna like because based on like what you've been looking at lately. So,
which makes so much sense as an engineer, because I'm working at this. I'm reading about Flask, for example, in Python, and okay, now I want to start a Flask app, and here's a whole lot of suggestions just based on just knowing that's what you're looking at, which is really great help.
And you could go to the tags, like you could go and search something specific. So I don't know. I don't know if it's captured that much for me. Some wizard examples, I don't know. But if I do React, oh, maybe it's not going to do anything here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what these tags are yet, but one related materials. Okay. I haven't tried to use the tags before. So I'm not sure how to find the one related. Maybe I found another bug. I don't know how to find the one related material from this tag. Maybe I do reset Pieces.app. No, maybe that's a bug. Did I find it? But anyway, ideally, if I could click this, then it would show me all the Pieces.app related things that it thinks that I want to see. So I think that's kind of cool. It's kind of like, I don't know, daily.dev shows you all those like developer articles and resources and stuff. It's sort of like that, but personalized. Oh yes, it's in Savo says it's coming soon because this is beta, right? So I guess that's next. I like the tags though. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's something I was digging into, because you can save snippets. So here's a bit of code I'm interested in, save this snippet, and it will automatically augment the snippet with a whole load of these links of like, hey, here's some links around this topic that you might find useful, which I guess is what feeds into this as well. So you've got this ability to research just based on things that are related to what you're doing, rather than just Google all the things.
Right. It's like your own personal Google, sort of, I guess. Yeah. And I think this would also be a good, like, going back to the article thing, is that this would be a good use case for, like, if you wanted to write an article and you didn't know what you wanted to write about, maybe you could literally just go through this and be like, what am I wanting to write about? And then it will kind of remind you what you've been searching and kind of looking at lately, or maybe learning about. Because I think a lot of articles, good articles, can also come from, like, if you don't know about the topic and you want to learn about it, and maybe you teach it to yourself through the article, and then now you're teaching other people. So I don't know. I think that would also be a good way to find new ideas. But yeah, and then I saw Jason said, what are the top 3 use cases for pieces? Do you have an answer to that, Jim? Like, do you have your own personal answer?
I want to get your answer on this, actually. You've spent a lot more time in pieces than me, so rather than me give an official position, I want to hear what your 3 top use cases are.
Okay, I would say the Obsidian is really good, because it's good for focus, and then you just edit and you do your article thing, and then you keep asking it more and more questions, and then you can switch to whatever GPT version you want. Which, Jason, you weren't here earlier, but I was saying that GPT-4 is better than the 4.0. I don't know why. The 4.0 is weird. A lot of people say that too. But yeah, I like the Obsidian. And then this, I use the Obsidian one the most, and then the one in the VS Code, the VS Code extension, that one is really good too. It's pretty much the same as Obsidian, but you can also, like, copy specific parts from the code that it sends you. And then, and you can ask it all kinds of questions about, like, oh, can you make this more accessible? Like, is there anything wrong with this? Because sometimes, like, if I was making a project with, like, Vite and Astro or something, it's different than Next.js. Like, Next.js use image instead of, like, IMG for the images, right? And I'm like, doing my portfolio site, I'm like, IMG for the images, and then it's like giving me the little squiggly, and I'm like, oh, I don't really know if I guess I have to make all these images into the proper Next.js image now. And so I'm like, can you turn all my images back to the normal version that they should be in Next.js? So I don't know. I use it for that kind of stuff too. And then also, maybe I don't know, just use a bunch of divs, and then it's like, oh, well, you should use an article here or a section, So I like it there. And then of course, basically the 3 things that I'm showing today, or that I plan to show, are my 3 top use cases. Like, if I want to ask it questions about stuff that's not necessarily only in VS Code, then, or if I want to ask it a question that, like, goes across multiple repos, not just the one that I'm working on, then I will go here instead of just the VS Code extension. So anyway, those are probably my top 3. What about you, Jim? Do you have a personal top 3?
I mean, I'm loving the VS Code extension. That's where I live. I'm coding all the time, and just having that ability to go to some docs, read some docs, and then go back into VS Code and ask a question. And the context is not just my code, it's the docs I was reading as well. That to me is very, very powerful. Because, you don't want to be zipping around all the time and, oh, I did this is right, go back, and just having that ability to get the view across everything. I think that's really powerful. The augmentation of the snippets, I think, is cool, because I'm the kind of person that I rarely track snippets because I don't have a good way of doing it. The best way I've done is I will write a blog post about something with the piece of code in there, and that's a lot of lift when it's just like right click, save snippet, and it saves that down. It's augmented. It's got, it tags it automatically, and I can just search for, oh, what was a snippet for this? It's like I can never remember how to, in Git there's a way you can tag a file to say ignore changes. So it's great. You add a .env file or something that was an example, and you say ignore all changes, so I can add things to it and not worry about them ever going to Git. Never remember the command. Wrote a blog post on it, but if I just have that as a snippet, I can say bring up my Git snippets. That's cool. And then there's a feature I found yesterday. I did a short video on it yesterday. In the browser extension, it can actually detect code blocks and add an Ask Copilot and Save to Snippets button to that code block. So you're like reading through a README on GitHub, and it's just got Ask Copilot, and just over the code block, Ask Copilot, how would I do this? And you get that answer. And because that way I don't have to leave where I am. It's this ability to stay where I am, stay focused. I'm in the browser. I want to ask questions about this code, and I can ask questions, and that question can then use the context from snippets I've shared or wherever else. And I haven't left the browser, and that gives me the information. So when I do leave the browser to go back to VS Code, I've already got the information I need, and I can go back to VS Code and see my conversation history, all that kind of stuff. So
that's very cool. I haven't even used the browser extension. Am I missing out on something great here? I don't have it yet. I gotta get it. I'm missing out.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
I'm gonna drop a link in the chat to my little video on it actually, because I just discovered it yesterday and it was just blew my mind. So
yeah, I need to try it. I like that because there's things that I search, like for example, like in C#, if you're writing some code, okay, and then you want to create a secret API key and you want to use the little secret manager thing. I always forget how to do that. I always forget, there's a command you have to write, create new secret or whatever. And then I always forget it. And then I always have to go and search it again. And then I ended up adding it to my notes in Obsidian, but it's better to have it in its own place, not in my article zone. You know what I mean? So I like that. I like the idea of saving snippets for things you use routinely. What if you even if you're a UX engineer, you're doing a lot of, front end development and stuff, and you use the same nav bar every time with the same hamburger menu or whatever. You could literally just save the snippet to your hamburger and then take it and use your hamburger everywhere instead of I might go back to my previous project and just copy my hamburger and take it. But it would be good if I didn't have to go and do that. Maybe I should write it by hand every time, but I definitely will not do that.
Yeah, I find that so I do a lot of quick and dirty Python Flask apps because it's kind of just a very quick way of doing something. And just the basic syntax of an app, importing Flask, defining your route, and then the little thing that says if I'm running this through Python, start the Flask app. That I can never remember the syntax off the top of my head. Save snippet, snippet in, done. Otherwise,
it's so
going
helpful.
back to an old project to copy and paste. It's that last line, that if this is just running through Python, launch the Flask thing. I can't remember that. Drop in a snippet. Never have to.
It would be a really good idea. Here, let me see. So if I was gonna do this thing, I don't think we have time, but I have this very simple about thing component so that I was gonna try to see if Pieces could fill it out based on what they know about me, but we don't have to do that. But I was gonna say, wouldn't it be cool if Pieces, if I forgot to include this Tailwind stuff, which I do forget to include almost every time, and then I'm why is nothing working? I wish that it would just be Ellie, you forgot it. That's why nothing is working. Oops.
This is that Jarvis idea you're saying. It learns that this is what you keep on doing is forgetting this. So
exactly.
It just does it for you automatically. You create a new file, it just drops at the top for you. Just I got you.
Yeah.
Drop it at the top.
Or even earlier, I guess if we can't get to the point where it can literally predict what you have forgotten, if it would be cool if right now I could highlight it and instead of ask Copilot, I could say give Pieces a tip for later or something. And then I could like set a reminder to Pieces like, hey, if I'm, writing some Tailwind, stuff in my class names, there's Tailwind, class names, and there's no this, can you please tell me? or whatever, like even in, where is that thing over there? Like in here, you have to add some stuff every time. And I wish it would just tell me like, okay, you didn't do this, or you missed, like sometimes I forget the comma, and then it's like, oh, you just messed up everything and whatever. I wish it would tell me sometimes. That would be super helpful for me, because sometimes I'm sitting there for like 20 minutes, I'm like, it's so simple. It's always so simple. And it would be cool if like every time you go through that super simple problem process, you could like highlight and be like, please never let me do this again in my life. Like, I don't want to have this problem again. I don't know if that's possible, but that would be super cool. Does Pieces have autocomplete yet?
Not yet.
No, but that would be cool too.
It's definitely something that would be very, very nice to have. So hopefully we can get that in there soon.
Yes. That would be really cool. I would love that. Although I don't know if I'd have it on all the time, because sometimes it suggests, I'm like, I don't know if I want your suggestions all the time, right? But I do like autocomplete, the idea.
The one that really annoys me is when you're doing like a check-in comment in the GitHub extension in VS Code, it tries to suggest things. You put like, or if you're commenting on someone's comment, you're replying to a comment in GitHub, and the thing says, you put like, I don't think, and it will autocomplete with, we should go for a picnic on Saturday, or something ridiculous like that. That is not related. It's like, just go home, Copilot. You're drunk. It's.
Right. That's what I don't want either. Or like it suggests some extremely, I remember using like a different Copilot. I don't know what it was, and I was writing like class names, and it just like automatically made like this weird style. Like it finished my Tailwind for me. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. Like, that's not where I was going at all with this. Please don't do that. I think autocomplete, it's hard. I think it's hard for it to actually really, really, truly know what you want. So I don't think I would necessarily want it to always be on. I would maybe, I don't know if there's like a way to leave clues for it. Like, oh, if you normally write this, then autocomplete. Or if I use like a certain command, like, okay, now I want to do to autocomplete for this only, but not usually, or something like that.
Yeah, but nice if you could just do a little bit of the autocomplete as well, because I'll get that. Right. If I'm writing documentation, it will finish my sentence and then give me 4 other sentences. Like, no, I like the sentence finishing. Give me that, but I don't need 4 other sentences saying the same thing in different ways, because you're just being too verbose. Like, just a class name. Don't fill in the whole class. Just give me the constructor or something. Don't fill in the whole thing.
Right. Like if it was a little bit, I could understand it, but I don't know. I think there would have to be a way where, like I said earlier, if you highlighted something and gave it a hint, like, okay, later when I do this, I don't want it to be like this, or you need to remind me about this later. Then maybe if it only auto-completed things that you specifically told it about before, or if there's like a certain kind of structure that you use frequently, and then you like highlight that and you're like, okay, I use this frequently. Okay, remember. Or like, oh, for example, if I do unit testing in C#, like I want it to have the 3 name format, like when blah, blah, blah. And blah, blah, I want it to have 3 portions, okay, with the underscores. I don't want to just do the 2. That's like just the rule we have for unit tests. At CodeMaze, they want it to have the 3 parts. And so I want it to, like, what if I could do that and like highlight, remember, always make the names in this format when you write a unit test. Like that might be a good kind of tip to give it. Like, I don't know. I guess that would be like personal instructions or whatever. They have that in ChatGPT, the special instructions. I don't know if there is special instructions here. I don't think I've looked into the settings for that.
No, I've not seen that. I mean, that'd be a cool thing to have, but again, that'd be very specialized in different situations, wouldn't it? If I'm creating test.cs file, then always use the arrange actor search pattern for naming things. That'd be very, very hard to do actually, because there's so many different things. Like you're saying, if I'm in a Tailwind file, always, and I miss this, put this bit here. But knowing that, you giving it the rule for that, because that rule might be very specific to you, becomes hard. I mean, I could get if you've got like coding standards for your coding style, you could give it that and say always create code following the standard.
Right.
But, don't know.
Right. And that would be like, I know for ChatGPT, you can write the special instructions and you just hand write them. But I think this, like what I'm imagining is if you literally, you selected a portion of your code or whatever, and then you're like, okay, and then about this, here's a special instruction. Like, remember that this is the way that I think about whatever it is that I'm talking about. Like, for example, if it's in writing, and you select a portion of the writing and you're like, please never use these words again. I don't like them. Certain words that come off very AI. I don't want to hear those ever again. And it would be cool if it like really listened to you on that and remembered it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Nick, I saw Nick's comment just now.
Yeah, probably consume config file, because that would be very cool. Yeah, if it picked up your ESLint config or your editor.config for VS for C#, what have you, and just use that. Yeah, I don't know whether it does that. That'd be quite a cool thing if it could. If it could do that,
that would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah, and that's kind of the point. Like, it would be cool for it to totally understand your style of doing things, because people have different styles. Maybe some people don't like arrow functions or something. Maybe they just are against them. They're like, please, never again. I don't know. And I think if it could remember that about you specifically, then it would be more personalized and get closer to the whole Jarvis idea. Yeah. So
the thing is, we are moving in that general direction, isn't it? It's just it's going to take a while to do that. Because part of this is going to be just getting the LLM to have that context, possibly even retraining the LLM based on your data. And we're not at the point yet where we can retrain LLMs without thousands of hours and lots of GPUs. And it wouldn't be fiscally efficient for someone to retrain an LLM based off how you like to name your unit tests.
Right. So yeah, I don't know how that would actually work, but I do think it would be very cool if it happened. I think it will happen eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
I think with the live context, it'll get closer. Like when the live context is in VS Code, it'll get a lot closer to that anyways.
Yes. Yeah. And as machines get more powerful, we're running LLMs locally. How many more chip generations till we can train them locally? So
yeah, because and also I think if it can access all of your snippets, then that's kind of also the same-ish thing. Like maybe it doesn't attach certain like levels of importance to each snippet. I don't know, but I think if it can access your snippets and you can add a comment to the snippet, then that would be a way to kind of do it. I don't know.
Yeah, so you have you save a snippet, which is the outlines of the way you do unit tests, and it always uses that.
This is the way I do unit tests. Like I don't know, but yeah, and then he said Pieces learns from your code patterns and daily activity. So I think it probably would pick up on the the 3-part unit test name. It could pick up on that. I would have to see like over time whether it would do that or not. But
that'd be interesting.
I did notice it does pick up on how your writing style in Obsidian. I did notice that. So it does take feedback pretty well. And I think it remembers better than just using ChatGPT, because ChatGPT always forgets what I tell it to do. So yeah.
I guess Pieces is storing it all locally, isn't it? It's remembering all your session information locally, where ChatGPT it's just a new session. It's
Yeah, I guess they did add. I guess it's supposed to have a memory now, but I don't think it does. So maybe it does, but anyway, I noticed it's pretty significantly on the Pieces Obsidian extension.
Yeah. So it's a big feature from very early on.
Very cool. Well.
Cool. Okay. We've been going for a couple of hours. Do we think we've achieved something good for this first stream? I think
Yeah,
we have.
I think we have. Originally I wanted to do Obsidian desktop and the VS Code, but we could do the VS Code in a part 2 later on if you want.
Yeah.
But I think this was good. Like I could actually write an article from this, and then I think the input from you also, since you're, very experienced with DevRel, helped. And then the ideas, like I wouldn't have thought of, maybe I would have if I thought about it for a while, but I never really thought like DevRel communities were kind of separate communities to join, I guess. So I don't think I would have made that suggestion at the end of an article, but I do think it's cool. So if there was a DevRel article, it would be cool to be like, oh, go join your community or go to the spaces and learn from other DevRels if you're interested in this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think it's a lot of good suggestions.
I'm just saying with DevRel communities, there's a conference coming up, DevRelCon, which is literally a conference for DevRel people to talk about DevRel and learn about DevRel. So
very cool.
We have these communities of software developers. There's communities for different tech fields. You can join the Python community. You can join the JavaScript community. You can join the Next.js community. It's like, we're DevRels. We have our own community where we talk about what we do. So cool to join a community is a great thing. But this is really cool. This has been a lot of fun. I have learned a lot from you as an expert. So thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and do this. Thank you to everyone in the audience for joining in. It's been some great conversations with everybody. So any passing thoughts before we wrap up?
I just want to say thanks for having me on here. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know if I showed you that much because I feel like I didn't get too much into it, but I hope you learn something and they learn something, and hopefully people try Pieces just because it is really cool. I think most people probably in the chat have used Pieces, to be honest, but it was just great talking with you. And I feel like I learned also a lot about DevRel. Like I really hadn't thought about, burnout and like this DevRel is whatever whoever's paying you wants it to be. I don't know, a lot of things. I feel like we also learned a lot about DevRel during this talk. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, this was great and learned a lot about our audience. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Thank you, Ellie. I'm going to be trying to run these every week, so I'll be back same time next week. Ellie, if you want to join, we can hang out again next week and carry on. If you want, this was really good. Really enjoyed this. But otherwise, thank you everyone for joining. I've dropped a link to Pieces in the chat. It's up on screen now. If you don't have Pieces, get on there and install it. From Pieces.app as well, there's a link to our Discord, so you can come and hang out with us on Discord. I'm all over the internet, JimBobBennett. So on Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, Linktree, come hang out with me. Ellie is, if I hide this, you should, no, we don't have your thingy. Let me grab you on X.
Mine's Ellie Zubrowski. So pretty much just the first 3 letters of my last name.
Yeah, so just drop that in the chat. Make sure you follow Ellie. Ellie hosts some amazing Twitter spaces, so well worth joining some of those and hanging out with the folks there. But otherwise, thank you all for joining. This was a lot of fun, and enjoy the rest of the day wherever you are in the world. Much love to everyone. Big heart hands.
Bye.